Hello everybody, welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing a brand new review, and today I'm going to be talking about Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, the brand new musical biopic that releases this Friday in cinemas, of course about the life of Bruce Springsteen, and I'm going to be giving my thoughts on that and many other things with this film. This was shown at London Film Festival last week. I got to see this on my last day, and kind of the reason why, and I'll get into my initial thoughts a little bit later on, is I don't know anything about Bruce Springsteen, so I kind of would have seen this at the cinema, and I just very fortunately got to see it a little bit earlier, which meant I didn't need to do a cinema trip when I got home, because I'm telling you guys that 11 cinema trips in 4 days does take its toll on you. Like, fair play to people that have done about 30 across 10, 11 days, but it's a perk being able to see certain films early, and this was one of those. It did have a premiere here. Of course, Bruce Springsteen came in attendance too, but yeah, I'll be getting to my thoughts on this. If you're new to the channel, you're Chris, what we do. We are, of course, a film channel. We are doing daily London Film Festival reviews as we still go through a backlog. I'll be revealing what one will be next, which also releases this Friday at the cinemas too. But the official BFI synopsis for this film is: Jeremy Allen White stars alongside Stephen Graham, Jeremy Strong and Odessa Young in this electrifying chronicle of Bruce Springsteen on the precipice of megawatt stardom. They loved getting the guitar stuff in there, didn't they? Megawatts, electrifying. Let's talk about my thoughts on Bruce Springsteen. I know nothing about his music. I know nothing about him as an individual. He popped up in Curb Your Enthusiasm in one of the final seasons for a couple of episodes and was funny in that. There was a storyline where he's given COVID, cancelled a world tour, and everyone hates Larry David for giving Bruce Springsteen COVID. So I'm being totally honest when I say that's the most I've ever known about Bruce Springsteen. So talking about the current trend of musical biopics as well, I'm in this very weird angle where my music knowledge, I'm the first to admit, it's pretty much non-existent on so many individuals. I don't listen to a lot of music away from like watching film and TV and stuff, so I don't find out an awful lot of things. Obviously, I've got bands that I love, musicians that I love, that I follow, stuff such as that, but my knowledge and respective of history of music is terrible. So I don't mind the trend of musical biopics, because for me, I can at least see them as, okay, here's some songs that I might recognise, that's who did them, and here's a bit of story about their life and how they came to be. Now, granted, it's a film, there's going to be misinformation in there. Obviously, you get films like Bohemian Rhapsody where it's just utter nonsense throughout, but they've got popular songs people enjoyed. But, you know, Freddie Mercury, Let's Give 'Em Age just in time for Wembley, that's a criminal offence. You then get films such as Rocket Man, which was great because it just wanted to be a musical about the music, about his life, but done in a different way. And then you can also have other biopics that have come. The one earlier this year, Tim Chalamet for Bob Dylan, a very specific part of Bob Dylan's life. And I enjoyed that, and I really liked that film, and I felt like I learned a little bit more about music through that. So I don't mind seeing them, because I'm going to try and educate myself. But Bruce Springsteen, as I said, is someone I don't know anything about, and that was curious for me. But I'm going to have to add, the trailers did nothing for me. I love Jeremy Allen White. Obviously, I watched The Bear. Obviously, he's going to be in Mandalorian and Grogu next year playing one of the Hutts. So I was curious to see him in this. Jeremy Strong's popped up. Great. Jeremy Strong, he's great in pretty much everything. But again, I didn't know what to expect or what it would cover, and the trailers did nothing, so I went in on a whim to see this film. Directed by Scott Cooper. Now, I've not seen any of his films before. I know he did Black Mass, Pale Blue Eye, Crazy Heart with Jeff Bridges, and a couple of others. I've not seen his other work. So again, I've not had anything pulling me in, aside from the fact I want to see this because it's a new upcoming release. My initial thoughts on this film, which might be quite critical, I went in, as I said, knowing nothing about Bruce Springsteen. And I'm telling you this truthfully, I've come out of this film knowing absolutely nothing except two things about Bruce Springsteen. One, he's had his battles of depression, and he's seeked help, which is great. Thank you, closing titles of the film, for educating me on one of the two things I found out. The second is the Nebraska's an album that wasn't played as singles, it was done in his bedroom. I kid you not, I'm not joking, I'm not trying to take the mick. I learnt nothing through this. And it's the most middling biopic of biopics I've ever encountered. This trend of the musical biopics, as I said, it's nothing incriminating. It's also nothing beyond average. It was a film that was made because they wanted to tick off another musician to do a film on, right? That's how I felt with this. And I don't know if it was reflected. I had a friend in the queue who's a big Bruce Springsteen fan. She'd seen him in concerts, and she came out and said it was quite disappointing as a Springsteen fan. So if fans are feeling like that, if other film people are feeling like that, if me who knows nothing's feeling like that, that's a bit worrying. And I just kind of want to start with those thoughts, because I don't think it's a bad film by any means. I don't think it's a good film. It's just so average. It's so existent is the word I'd use to describe it. And as I said, I didn't know much about his music, about his career, and I still can't tell you many more songs. Like, I don't need it to be a jukebox musical like Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't need to have a good sing-along the whole time, but I'd at least like to try and learn something. But I didn't really get that, and when it's trying to delve into the personal life side of things, it just felt so... Again, it just felt so been here, done that, seen it 1,000 times over, which is sad because it's about a father-son relationship at times, but they're all in the trailers, and it just seems to be different, yeah. So I'm going to segue out of this and start talking about individual things that worked for this film. So Bruce Springsteen, played by Jeremy Allen White. Jeremy Allen White, I think, is good in this. I can't tell if he's imitating Bruce Springsteen, if he makes it his own. I think he gives a good performance. If you've seen The Bear, if you've seen Jeremy Allen White in other stuff, you'll know what he's capable of as an actor. And it does feel very much like a Jeremy Allen White role. So I couldn't actually look past him playing characters I've seen him in before. This was different to the Iron Claw, where I felt like he was somebody else. This felt like Jeremy Allen White is playing Jeremy Allen White, if I'm allowed to say that, or basically playing Chef. So I thought the performance was fine. The intensity's there, as you'd expect. But overall, I didn't particularly care for the character because I just didn't feel like there was a lot going on there. But the performance I really did like in this film is Jeremy Strong playing John Landau, who is his producer. It doesn't feel like Jeremy Strong being Jeremy Strong. It felt like, okay, we know he's a bit of the method actor. It was refreshing for me to see an agent in a musical biopic who actually has interests in his musician, that isn't trying to stake him out on behalf of a studio to make money for them. It was really great to see a relationship of a performer and their manager, and the manager's logic is, I believe in you as a performer and I will defend you to those studio execs. I really like him in this. I think he's the best thing in this film by a country mile. He's not in too many scenes, and he's a great presence, and it is Jeremy Strong at the end of the day, so you kind of know what to expect if you've seen Succession, but he was the best thing in this film for me. I was more interested in the what's going on between the studio and the manager, and there's a great line where he essentially says, if you're in my office, you're in the office that believes in Bruce Springsteen, and I liked that approach, and I wish we had a little bit more of that, because it did feel like it's going to go that same way of, oh, the manager's going to do something horrible to get a contract done, but no, it didn't. So fair play to that. I liked that side of the story. That's the most positive I'll be on this. You've got Stephen Graham playing Douglas Springsteen, his father. I'll be honest, the trailers pretty much show this. You've got the black and white, you've got the idea of the abusive father. There's a really nice scene at the end of the film with him aged up with Jeremy Allen White. A father-son moment. Don't know how authentic that is, what it was like in real life, but I did like this moment. It was a great scene. I just felt like all the flashback stuff just felt generic as the rest of the film did for me. And then we've got the character of Faye, played by Odessa Young, who I really liked in this, being the relationship interest, me knowing nothing about Bruce Springsteen, and then after the film I found out that she wasn't even a real person in his life. So the film had just made up a romance that was centric to this film, the film being the most centric part of his life, which is making the album Nebraska, which I should have said earlier. So that brings that character down for me. Nothing against the performance of Odessa. I thought she was very, very good in this. But why are they creating fictional people for the purpose of a musical biopic? I do not know. That stuff always just boggles my mind when they do that. And that's kind of how I felt about this whole film, if I'm honest, that I went into this film knowing nothing. I learned a couple of things. I learned a couple of things that didn't exist. But yeah, it exists. It's been released. Is it going to perform well? I don't actually think it will. I'm sure Bruce Springsteen fans are going to go. I can't tell you much more about songs. I can't tell you how great the performances are. There aren't many in there. I can't tell you it's funny, it's not funny. It's a film that exists. It's not fatigue from the festival either, because I watched Giant after this and I loved Giant. The review's up for that. I say I loved it. Love's a strong word. But there's a lot more to talk about with that film. But yeah, this for me, unfortunately, this is as average as it's going to get. So that's my review for Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, aka the Bruce Springsteen film. And we'll find out. I mean, I know they're doing the Beatles 4 films in a month nonsense, aren't they? But we'll find out the next musical biopic, I'm sure, in the next 6 months to 1 year, because there's always 1 or 2 a year now. And you might be wondering what is next for the London Film Festival reviews. Unfortunately, next up is The Mastermind. I'll be talking about that tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be talking about that film tomorrow. That's all I can say for now. So thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.